Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Aisyah Haira DPT Ma'aris. My student ID is 202428768 and I'm from class B A2733D. Today I will present about the talent acquisition and skill gaps in US and China. What is talent acquisition and skill gaps? Talent acquisition means the process of acquire, deploy, and retain workforce of the sufficient quantity and quality to create the positive impacts on the organization effectiveness. For the skill gaps, it actually means the imbalance between the skills that employers expect and the skills that their employees possess. Why US lack of talent acquisition and have skill gaps? For the talent acquisition, the first one is lack of phenomenon, which is the company and their employees actually will be neglected by the government. And the second one is the shortage of STEM talent, such as the cost of higher education actually discourage many domestic students to pursuing their STEM degree as they are too expensive. For the skill gaps, the first one is the skill immigration policy. For example, the government actually relies on skill immigration programs like the H-1B visa, the visa that's specifically made for the foreigner workers. And the second one is lack of skills from the local. For example, the employer's cost rise to $160,000, but the companies want the similar skills with the lower pay. Impacts toward US talent acquisition. The first one is caused by the workforce shortage, for example, in AI and cybersecurity industry. The second one is the cost a decision and benefit to investor only, but not the companies and their employees. For example, the same incident like housing crisis in US in 2008 also happened in 2025. For the skill gaps, the first one is caused by US immigration policy. For example, the government actually limit the skilled worker retention. And the second one is employee, especially in HR, professional need to work overtime, such as to avoid the company or organization have big skill gaps, which cause the disadvantage to younger generation to show off their skills and talent in certain area. Solution for lack of talent acquisition and skill gaps in US. For the talent acquisition, the first one is the road of higher education. For example, the university actually try to bridge the gap through the partnership with some tech companies and the government initiative. And the second one is the opposite the plain layoff. For example, the Los Angeles Times actually asked the group to seniority protection in their union contract, such as the newsroom employees actually decreased to 85,000 in 2020. For the skill gaps, the first one is the corporate training and upskill. For example, the government and corporate actually expand the collaboration to develop more inclusive and added workforce training model. The second one is the organization must knock down the barrier and reskill their workers. For example, the government actually customized their education and training curricula, such as the 4-year college in university and technical programs, community college and vocational schools. Reasons China is lack of talent acquisition and skill gaps. For the talent acquisition, the first one is for food shortage, which is the lack of talent in renewable energy sector such as the green energy. And the second one is the aging population, which is it shrinks since 2012, and in 2050 it will be over 30% will be 60 years old or older. And the skill gaps, the first one is skill mismatch in higher education. For example, there are 44% of Chinese companies struggle to find employees with the technical skills. And the second one is negative labeling of HVET learners. For example, the students that being the HVET learners will be treated as the academic failures. What is the impact that will be happen in China? For the talent acquisition, the first one is the cause major concerns in aging workforce factor. For example, it will decline the birth rate due to the overpass decade policy, which is the one family can only have one child policy. And the second one is rapid economic growth and workforce challenges. For example, China actually been positioned as the country and global leader in manufacture AI and green energy, but lack of talent in that industry. For the skill gaps, it will because the large output but they have skill mismatch. For example, the STEM education quality is very poor. The second one is the disconnect between the academic qualification and job market requirement, such as the Chinese state actually emphasize theoretical knowledge over the practical learning. How to solve the lack of talent acquisition and skill gaps in China? For the talent acquisition, the first one is the immigration and talent retention strategies. For example, the government need to continue incentivize the overseas Chinese professional to return home, such as the government actually need to persuade them to come home to their own home country. The second one is the corporate government collaboration. For example, they need continue foster collaboration between business and vocationals at schools to ensure industry that the industry needs actually being met. The skill gaps, for the first one is the government initiative and vocational training. For example, the government actually heavily invest in the technical and vocational education, expand program and provide the practical hands-on training. The second one is lifelong learning and workforce reskill. For example, the scale of the AI actually being driven the workforce training solution to meet the industry demands. Conclusion: the reasons in US because of the government and higher education. Meanwhile, in China because of the local aging population and skills that local have are not matched with the current era. For the impacts in US actually because of the workforce shortage and the US immigration policy. Meanwhile, for the China is cause a major concern in aging workforce and will be cause a large output but the skills are not suitable. The solution, as for the solution in US, is actually because of the role of higher education and the corporate training of upskill. Meanwhile, in China, it is immigration and talent retention with strategies and government initiative of vocational training. That's all from me. Thank you for watching.